When you think about aging, many people talk about decline. They talk about what's lost: strength, agility, energy. But what if I told you that the real danger isn't what you're losing, it's what you're losing. It's what you're unknowingly adding. Every day, you make decisions. You reach for a supplement, a capsule labeled heart health, immune support, a bone strength, and you do it with the best intentions. You're not being careless, you're being conscientious. You're following what you believe is healthy. That's noble. But here's the paradox: intention without awareness can still lead to harm. Let's get specific. After the age of 50, your physiology changes, blood flow slows, recovery takes longer, and your nervous system becomes less tolerant of imbalance. You are more vulnerable to silent, compounding forces: vitamin E, vitamin A, calcium. These aren't toxins. These aren't dangerous in isolation, but when taken without balance, without proper form, or in excess, they become toxic. And the place they begin to show that damage: your legs, the foundation of your mobility, your independence, your strength. Vitamin E, taken in large doses, thins your blood. It sounds harmless until you start bruising easily, until you experience spontaneous muscle bleeds that no one sees coming. Vitamin A, too much of it starts pulling calcium out of your bones, weakening the very structure you're trying to preserve. And calcium, yes, calcium, when not paired with vitamin K2, doesn't go to your bones, it goes into your arteries. It stiffens them. It narrows the vessels feeding your legs. Your calves ache, you blame aging. But the true culprit? A silent accumulation of imbalance. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a call to precision. It's a call to awareness, because you weren't designed to decay. You were designed for adaptability, for resilience. But resilience isn't passive. It's not found in the vitamin aisle. It's found in knowledge and action, in conscious refinement of your behavior over time, of your behavior over time. Your nervous system responds to truth, and the truth is this: longevity is not about doing more. It's about doing right. It's about aligning your habits with the natural intelligence of your body. Stop treating supplements like insurance policies. They are tools, and tools must be used with skill. Your legs don't just carry your body, they carry your purpose. They take you to your work, to your family, to your future. And when they begin to falter, it's not just about muscle, it's about life force. The nervous system knows when you are drifting from balance. It sends signals: a cramp, a fatigue, a heaviness. Don't numb those messages, decode them. There is a divine intelligence to the body. Honor it. If you're over 50, you're not falling apart. You're entering a stage where small changes compound massively. Precision now will reward you 100-fold. What you do today writes the script for your tomorrow. So take this not as a warning, but as a gift, an invitation to return to balance, to question the healthy things you've been taught, and to choose conscious optimization over blind consumption. Because your legs weren't made for sitting in waiting rooms. They were made for walking into your highest potential. Now go do that wisely. Vitamin E is often hailed as a powerful antioxidant, vital for immune function, cellular repair, and the prevention of oxidative stress. It's marketed as a must-have for skin health, heart support, and even anti-aging. While these benefits are valid in appropriate doses, the narrative becomes dangerously misleading when we ignore dosage, bioavailability, and synergy with other nutrients. Excess vitamin E, particularly in synthetic supplement form, can turn from a protector into a silent saboteur, especially in people over the age of 50, when the body becomes more sensitive to imbalances in micronutrients and circulatory function begins to decline. The most immediate concern with too much vitamin E is its effect on blood coagulation. Vitamin E, especially in high doses, typically above 400 INDAE, has an anticoagulant effect. It interferes with vitamin K's role in clotting, effectively thinning the blood. While this might sound beneficial for those trying to prevent heart attacks or strokes, the reality is more complex and risky. In people over 50, especially those already on medications like aspirin, warfarin, or other blood thinners, excess vitamin E can amplify the risk of internal bleeding. And that doesn't just mean bleeding you can see. It means microhemorrhages in joints, spontaneous bruising, or worse, bleeding into muscle tissue, particularly in the legs, which support your entire body and are rich in vascular networks. When blood becomes too thin or clotting factors are suppressed, it sets the stage for silent injuries. The legs are especially vulnerable because of their constant use, gravitational blood pressure, and proximity to large muscle groups like the quadriceps, hamstrings, and calves. A person might feel unusual soreness or notice deep bruising after simple tasks, climbing stairs, standing too long, or walking uphill. Most dismiss it as normal aging, muscle strain, or perhaps poor circulation. But few connect it to the daily capsule of vitamin E they've been faithfully taking in pursuit of longevity. What makes this even more insidious is that the damage doesn't always show up in dramatic ways. It builds over time: small vessel fragility, decreased platelet aggregation, subclinical bleed. These factors don't send you to the emergency room immediately, but they begin eroding your physical confidence, your stride, your stability. And as mobility declines, so does neuroplasticity. Your brain, in a bid to conserve energy, stops refining motor patterns in the lower limbs. That's why. What follows is a vicious cycle: weak legs, lower confidence, reduced activity, increased vascular vulnerability, and cognitive decline. There's also the issue of fat solubility. Vitamin E isn't water soluble, which means the body stores it in fat tissue. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that are excreted when in excess, fat-soluble vitamins accumulate. So even if you're not megadosing, but taking slightly more than necessary over months or years, your tissues begin to hold that excess. The older we get, the less efficient our liver and kidneys become at managing this kind of bioaccumulation. This stored vitamin E continues exerting its blood thinning and potentially cytotoxic effects long after you've swallowed your last capsule. Adding another layer, many vitamin E supplements use the synthetic form DL-alpha tocopherol rather than the natural D-alpha tocopherol or the full spectrum of tocopherols and tocotrienols found in whole foods. Synthetic forms are less bioavailable and don't play well with the body's natural nutrient balance. Worse still, high doses of one form of tocopherol can inhibit absorption of the others, creating a kind of nutrient dominance that suppresses the holistic benefit the body was designed to receive from vitamin E in food-based sources. The solution isn't fear, it's awareness. And fear, it's awareness. For those over 50, it's essential to recognize that more isn't better, especially with micronutrients. Blood work, physician-guided supplementation, and a diet-first approach should take precedence over high-dose, long-term use of single antioxidants. Your body, especially your legs, the pillars of your mobility and independence, depend on balance, not blind faith in so-called healthy supplements. Vitamin A is an essential nutrient, no question. It supports vision, immune function, cellular growth, and even plays a vital role in skin health and gene expression. But there's a darker side to this fat-soluble vitamin, particularly when consumed in excess or isolated in supplement form, and that danger becomes much more pronounced after the age of 50. What many consider healthy or a supportive supplementation can quietly erode structural integrity, especially in the legs over the course of months or years. The problem begins with bioaccumulation. Vitamin A, like other fat-soluble vitamins, does not get flushed out of the body as easily as water-soluble ones. When taken in excess, especially as performed vitamin A in the form of retinol palmitate, it accumulates in the liver and fatty tissues. This storage system, while helpful in preventing deficiency, becomes dangerous when daily intake regularly exceeds the body's actual need. For those over 50, this is especially critical as the liver becomes less efficient in clearing stored compounds and the body's sensitivity to nutrient imbalances increases. One of the most insidious effects of vitamin A overload is its negative impact on bone metabolism. Contrary to the popular belief that vitamin A supports skeletal health, studies have shown that high intakes of performed vitamin A can stimulate osteoclast activity, the cells responsible for breaking down bone tissue. At the same time, it suppresses osteoblasts, which are the cells responsible for building new bone. This dual action leads to a net loss in bone density. After age 50, when bone mineral density is already declining due to hormonal shifts and reduced absorption of key minerals, the effect is amplified. In the legs, this translates into increasing susceptibility to fractures, stress injuries, and persistent pain that many write off as arthritis or general aging. But the issue doesn't stop at B1. Vitamin A toxicity also affects muscle coordination, joint fluidity, and neural signaling. People with chronic high intake may begin to notice vague symptoms: muscle stiffness, hip or knee pain, decreased range of motion, and balance issues. Ooh. These aren't just musculoskeletal symptoms, they're neurochemical disturbances driven by excessive vitamin A interfering with pathways responsible for proprioception, synaptic efficiency, and even motor planning. The legs, being the largest muscle groups and key to locomotion, are often the first to signal this internal imbalance. Moreover, the interplay between vitamin A and vitamin D is deeply relevant here. Both compete for similar receptors in the body, and high levels of vitamin A can antagonize the effects of vitamin D. This is particularly damaging after midlife, when many individuals are already vitamin D deficient due to lower sun exposure, decreased skin synthesis, and poor dietary intake. Vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption and proper muscle function. When vitamin levels crowd out D, calcium metabolism becomes compromised, and that again leads to poor bone strength, increased risk of falls, and impaired muscle contractions, especially in the lower body. Many adults, unaware of this antagonistic relationship, take multivitamins, cod liver oil, or standalone vitamin A supplements thinking they're preserving their health. But cod liver oil in particular is disproportionately high in vitamin A relative to D unless it's been modified. The result is not immediate toxicity, but a slow cumulative distortion of physiological balance, one that often escapes medical detection until more serious issues arise. Fractures, chronic joint pain, limited mobility, or even calcification in soft tissues. It's crucial to understand that most people are not deficient in preformed vitamin A. Beta-carotene from vegetables can be safely converted by the body as needed. But when people over 50 AD synthetic or excessive preformed vitamin A to their regimen, they override the body's self-regulating mechanisms. That's when imbalance becomes dysfunction, and dysfunction becomes disability. What seems like a minor overage in a well-meaning health plan can, over years, become a silent but profound threat to physical independence, starting with the legs. Calcium is often seen as the cornerstone of bone health, especially after the age of 50, when the risk of osteoporosis and fractures rises significantly. Many people turn to calcium supplements as a straightforward solution to maintain or improve their skeletal strength. However, taking calcium in isolation without the essential companion nutrient, vitamin K2, can lead to serious and often overlooked consequences, particularly affecting the legs and overall vascular health. This imbalance is a silent but potent disruptor that gradually undermines mobility, circulatory function, and tissue integrity. Calcium's primary role is to support bone mineralization, providing the hardness and resilience that enable the skeleton to bear weight and withstand daily stresses. Yet calcium is a double-edged sword. When consumed in excess or without proper regulation, it can deposit not just in bones, but also in soft tissues such as arteries, muscles, and connective tissue. Vitamin K2 acts as a crucial traffic controller in the body's handling of calcium. It activates proteins like osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein, which direct calcium to bones and teeth while preventing it from accumulating in the walls of blood vessels and other soft tissues. Without adequate K2, calcium taken as supplements risks going rogue. And instead of strengthening the bones, it can calcify the arteries that supply blood to your legs. This leads to arterial stiffness and narrowing, a condition known as peripheral artery disease, PAD. PAD reduces blood flow, resulting in leg pain, cramps, numbness, and an overall decrease in functional capacity. People often dismiss these symptoms as normal aging or muscle fatigue, yet they are warning signs of an underlying imbalance caused by inappropriate calcium supplementation. As calcium deposits build up in the arterial walls, the vessels lose their elasticity, forcing the heart to work harder to pump blood. This not only compromises circulation to the legs, but also increases systemic blood pressure and cardiovascular risk. The legs, being farthest from the heart and dependent on efficient blood flow to meet muscular demands, suffer disproportionately. Reduced oxygen delivery and nutrient transport impair muscle function and delay recovery from minor injuries, leading to a cycle of weakness, pain, and decreased mobility. Beyond vascular calcification, excess calcium without K2 also impacts B1 remodeling. When calcium is plentiful but not properly utilized, the body may downregulate its natural absorption or disrupt the balance between bone formation and resorption. This paradoxically can contribute to weaker bones or brittle, improperly mineralized bone tissue. The legs, which bear the entire weight of the body and require optimal bone integrity, are therefore at increased risk of stress fractures and degenerative changes. Another factor is that vitamin D, which is often co-supplemented with calcium, works synergistically with vitamin K2 to optimize calcium metabolism. Without K2, even adequate vitamin D levels cannot fully prevent calcium misplacement. This highlights the necessity of nutrient synergy rather than isolated supplementation. The failure to consider this balance is common in mainstream health practices and commercial supplements, which often promote calcium and vitamin D alone, overlooking the pivotal role of K2. The effects of calcium accumulation in soft tissues and vessels are not immediate but cumulative. Over years of supplementation without K2, the damage quietly progresses. Initially, symptoms may be subtle: slight leg fatigue, occasional cramps, or a sense of heaviness after walking. These signs often go ignored until mobility is significantly impaired or more severe vascular complications arise. This slow, progressive impairment erodes quality of life and independence. Importantly, the forms of calcium matter as well. Some supplements use calcium carbonate or citrate, which differ in absorption rates and interactions with other nutrients. But regardless of form, without adequate K2 to guide calcium, supplementation risks being a double-edged sword, one that may protect B1 density superficially but silently compromises vascular health and muscular function in the legs. For anyone over 50 considering or already taking calcium supplements, it is essential to integrate vitamin K2 into their regimen or prioritize dietary sources rich in K2, such as fermented foods, certain cheeses, and natto. More broadly, this principle reminds us that the body functions through networks of nutrient interactions, not isolated components. Optimal health depends on respecting this complexity and embracing a holistic, informed approach. Ignoring the necessity of vitamin K2 alongside calcium supplements is a profound oversight. It transforms a well-intentioned act of self-care into a hidden threat, one that slowly tightens its grip on the legs, reducing blood flow, increasing pain, and undermining the very foundation of movement and vitality after 50. As we age, one of the most profound yet often unnoticed changes that occur within our bodies is the gradual decline in circulation. This decline is not just about feeling cold hands or feet. It represents a fundamental shift in how blood flows through the intricate network of vessels that deliver oxygen, nutrients, and signaling molecules to every tissue, including the muscles and nerves of the legs. After the age of 50, this slowdown in circulatory efficiency becomes more pronounced, and it sets the stage for a cascade of challenges that quietly undermine mobility, strength, and overall leg health. The cardiovascular system is remarkably resilient, but it is not immune to the wear and tear of time. Arteries lose elasticity due to structural changes in their walls. Collagen and elastin fibers degrade and calcify, making vessels stiffer and less able to expand and contract with each heartbeat. This stiffness increases resistance to blood flow, forcing the heart to pump harder, while simultaneously reducing the volume and speed of blood reaching peripheral tissues. In the legs, which are furthest from the heart and constantly battling gravity, this means a decreased supply of oxygen-rich blood precisely where it is most needed for muscle function, repair, and sensation. This reduction in blood flow has profound effects on leg muscles. Without adequate perfusion, muscles become starved of oxygen and essential nutrients, which impairs their ability to generate energy and repair micro-injuries from daily use. Over time, this leads to muscle fatigue, cramps, and weakness. These symptoms are often dismissed as normal signs of aging or overuse, but in reality, they are signals from the body indicating compromised circulation. As muscles weaken, balance and coordination decline, increasing the risk of falls and injuries, which are particularly dangerous for individuals over 50. The nervous system also suffers from diminished circulation. Peripheral nerves in the legs rely heavily on a steady supply of blood to maintain their function and repair capacity. Reduced blood flow leads to nerve ischemia, which can cause numbness, tingling, or even neuropathic pain. This sensory impairment further diminishes proprioception, the body's ability to sense its position in space, compromising gait and increasing instability. As these problems accumulate, the individual may begin to withdraw from physical activity, which further exacerbates circulatory decline in a vicious cycle. Another consequence of age-related circulatory decline is the slowed removal of metabolic waste products from the legs. Efficient blood flow not only delivers oxygen and nutrients, but also carries away carbon dioxide, lactic acid, and other toxins produced during muscle activity. When circulation is sluggish, these byproducts accumulate, contributing to inflammation, stiffness, and discomfort in the legs. Chronic low-grade inflammation further damages blood vessels, perpetuating the cycle of vascular dysfunction and tissue degeneration. The health of the endothelium, the inner lining of blood vessels, is also compromised with age. Endothelial cells play a critical role in regulating vascular tone by producing nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and promotes smooth blood flow. Aging reduces nitric oxide production, causing vessels to constrict and further limiting blood supply. Factors such as oxidative stress, poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, and chronic inflammation accelerate this endothelial dysfunction. These combined insults create an environment where circulatory efficiency is diminished long before clinical symptoms of peripheral artery disease or other vascular conditions become apparent. Lifestyle factors compound the natural decline in circulation. Sedentary behavior, common in modern life, reduces the muscle pump action in the legs that assists venous return. Without regular movement, blood pools in the lower extremities, leading to swelling, varicose veins, and increased pressure on vessel walls. This congestion further impairs arterial inflow, deepening tissue hypoxia and discomfort. On the other hand, regular exercise, particularly weight-bearing and aerobic activities, enhances vascular health by stimulating angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels, and improving endothelial function. Nutrition also plays a crucial role. Deficiencies or imbalances in essential nutrients such as magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants can exacerbate vascular stiffness and inflammation. Additionally, some supplements taken with the intent of promoting health may unintentionally impair circulation if not used judiciously. For example, excessive doses of certain vitamins may thin the blood or promote calcification of vessels, disrupting the delicate balance required for optimal blood flow. The cumulative effect of these changes is a progressive reduction in the leg's capacity to sustain healthy function, increasing the risk of chronic pain, mobility loss, and diminished quality of life. Recognizing the age-related decline in circulation as a foundational issue rather than an inevitable byproduct of aging is essential. Through targeted lifestyle adjustments, appropriate supplementation, and medical interventions when necessary, it is possible to restore or at least slow the decline of circulatory health. This approach honors the body's intrinsic capacity for adaptation and renewal, ensuring that the legs remain strong, resilient, and capable well beyond the half-century mark. In the world of health and wellness, the idea that more is better has become almost a mantra. Whether it's vitamins, supplements, exercise, or productivity hacks, there is a widespread belief that increasing the quantity of a good thing will multiply its benefits. However, when it comes to vitamins and supplements, especially after the age of 50, this notion can be dangerously misleading. The body is a complex, interconnected system governed by finely tuned balances. Overloading it with excessive amounts of certain nutrients can lead not to better health, but to silent damage that erodes function over time, particularly in critical areas like the legs. Vitamins are essential for life, but they are not simply interchangeable boosters. Each vitamin acts within a specific context, requiring precise amounts for optimal function. Our physiology evolved to handle nutrients primarily through food, where they exist in a balanced matrix alongside cofactors and other compounds. The isolated and concentrated forms found in supplements bypass these natural checks and balances, introducing quantities that can overwhelm the body's regulatory systems. This is especially true for fat-soluble vitamins, such as A, D, E, and K, which are stored in tissues and accumulate over time. Excessive intake of these can lead to toxicity and unintended consequences. After 50, the risk associated with oversupplementation grows because the efficiency of metabolic processes slows down. The liver and kidneys, which play central roles in filtering and metabolizing nutrients, become less efficient. The blood-brain barrier and cellular membranes may also become more permeable, allowing substances to accumulate in places they shouldn't. This means that what was once a tolerable dose earlier in life may become excessive, causing cellular stress, inflammation, and impaired organ function. In the legs, where circulation and nerve signaling are already challenged by age, the repercussions can manifest as pain, weakness, cramping, and reduced mobility. The illusion that more is better also neglects the principle of nutrient synergy, the way different nutrients interact to support or inhibit each other's absorption and function. For example, taking high doses of calcium without sufficient vitamin K2 can cause calcium to deposit in arteries rather than bones, increasing the risk of peripheral artery disease. Similarly, excessive vitamin E intake can interfere with vitamin K-dependent clotting factors, increasing bleeding risk. These examples illustrate how megadosing individual vitamins without regard for balance can disrupt the delicate biochemical networks that maintain healthy tissues, including those in the legs. Many people believe that if a little vitamin improves health, a lot must improve it more. This approach is reinforced by aggressive marketing and anecdotal testimonials, but it ignores the reality that the body operates within narrow optimal ranges. Too little or too much of any nutrient can cause dysfunction, a concept known as the U-shaped curve in nutrition science. For instance, insufficient vitamin D leads to bone weakness and immune dysfunction, but excessive vitamin D causes hypercalcemia, which harms kidneys and arteries. The same pattern applies to many vitamins and minerals. The key is finding the right dose, not simply increasing quantity. Another factor is that supplements are often taken without monitoring blood levels or medical guidance. People self-prescribe based on trends or popular advice, unaware that they may already have sufficient or even elevated levels of certain nutrients. This blind supplementation can lead to silent accumulation and damage before symptoms appear. When symptoms do emerge, such as unexplained leg pain, numbness, or muscle cramps, they are often attributed to aging or unrelated causes, delaying diagnosis and intervention. The pursuit of a more is better also fails to account for individual variability. Genetics, lifestyle, diet, existing health conditions, and medication use all influence how the body handles nutrients. What is beneficial for one person can be harmful to another. This complexity demands a personalized approach that respects the body's unique needs rather than following one-size-fits-all dosing. True health optimization requires a shift from quantity to quality, from volume to precision. It calls for a deep understanding of the body's signals and a commitment to working with the body's natural rhythms and limits rather than trying to overwhelm them. This means prioritizing nutrient-dense whole foods, maintaining balanced supplementation based on testing, and emphasizing lifestyle factors like movement, hydration, and sleep that support nutrient utilization. The body's wisdom is profound, but it is easily overridden by excessive inputs. The illusion that a more is better is seductive because it promises quick fixes and amplified results. Yet in reality, it often leads to unintended damage, particularly to vulnerable systems like the legs after 50, where the cumulative effects of imbalance can erode strength, mobility, and independence. Embracing balance, harmony, and measured action is the path to sustained vitality. Oh, not excess. Nutrients rarely work in isolation. The human body is an intricate biochemical symphony where vitamins, minerals, and other compounds interact dynamically to support cellular function, tissue health, and systemic balance. When these nutrients are supplied in isolation or without proper consideration of their natural partners, The result can be a breakdown in this delicate harmony, leading to inefficiencies, imbalances, and sometimes outright harm. This concept, known as nutrient synergy, becomes especially important after the age of 50, when the body's ability to absorb, utilize, and balance nutrients begins to decline. A lack of nutrient synergy can silently undermine health, with one of the most pronounced effects manifesting in the legs, where complex interactions between circulation, bone, muscle, and nerve health are critical for maintaining mobility and independence. One of the most common and overlooked examples of disrupted nutrient synergy is the relationship between calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2. Calcium is essential for strong bones and muscle function, but without vitamin D to aid absorption and vitamin K2 to direct calcium to the bones instead of the arteries, calcium supplementation can lead to vascular calcification rather than improved bone strength. This misdirection increases arterial stiffness, reduces blood flow, and compromises muscle health, particularly in the legs, which require efficient circulation and strong bone support to function properly. When calcium and vitamins D and K2 are out of balance, supplementation intended to protect B1 health can instead accelerate degenerative processes. Another critical synergy involves magnesium, which is often neglected despite being vital for hundreds of enzymatic reactions in the body. Magnesium works hand in hand with calcium to regulate muscle contraction and relaxation. Without adequate magnesium, excess calcium can cause muscle cramps, spasms, and stiffness, symptoms commonly experienced in the legs by older adults. Magnesium also supports vitamin D metabolism and helps maintain endothelial function in blood vessels, meaning a deficiency can impair nutrient utilization and circulation simultaneously. Without the proper balance of magnesium, vitamin D, and calcium supplementation may fail to provide their intended benefits and might even contribute to discomfort and reduced mobility. Vitamin E and vitamin K provide another example. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant that protects cells from oxidative damage, but in excessive amounts, it can interfere with vitamin K-dependent clotting factors. Vitamin K is essential not only for bone health, but also for maintaining proper blood coagulation. An imbalance here may lead to increased bleeding risk, including microbleeds in muscle tissue and joints, which can cause pain, bruising, and weakness in the legs. This subtle damage accumulates over time, undermining tissue integrity and physical function. The B vitamins represent a complex network of synergy essential for energy metabolism, nerve function, and red blood cell production. For example, folate, B12, and B6 work together to regulate homocysteine levels, a marker associated with vascular health. Elevated homocysteine contributes to endothelial damage and arterial stiffness, which impairs circulation and increases the risk of cardiovascular events. Without balanced supplementation or adequate dietary intake of these vitamins, the risk of vascular impairment in the legs increases, further contributing to symptoms like numbness, cramping, and decreased endurance. In addition to direct biochemical interactions, nutrient synergy also affects absorption and bioavailability. Certain nutrients require the presence of others to be absorbed effectively. For example, fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K need dietary fat and bile acids for absorption, and they often compete for transport proteins A. Supplementing one fat-soluble vitamin in isolation at high doses can inhibit the absorption or function of the others, leading to deficiencies despite supplementation. This is a frequent pitfall in supplement regimens that prioritize single nutrients without regard to their natural coexistence in whole foods. Moreover, the gut microbiome plays a crucial role in nutrient synergy. Healthy gut bacteria synthesize vitamins, aid mineral absorption, and modulate immune responses. Dysbiosis and imbalance in gut flora is common with aging and can disrupt these processes, impairing nutrient synergy further. This creates a feedback loop where poor nutrient absorption exacerbates systemic inflammation and vascular dysfunction, negatively impacting leg health and overall vitality. The failure to honor nutrient synergy often arises from the reductionist approach in supplement marketing and public health messaging. Pills are sold as isolated agents promising specific benefits, ignoring that the body evolved to receive nutrients in complex, balanced combinations primarily through diet. Overemphasis on single vitamins or minerals can create imbalances that slowly erode physiological resilience. This is particularly dangerous in the legs, where musculoskeletal, vascular, and nervous systems intersect and depend heavily on coordinated nutrient support. To support healthy aging and maintain leg function, it is essential to think in terms of nutrient networks rather than isolated compounds. This means adopting a holistic approach that emphasizes diverse nutrient-dense whole foods, personalized supplementation that respects natural balances, and lifestyle practices that enhance nutrient absorption and utilization. It also requires ongoing monitoring and adjustment based on individual needs, genetic predispositions, and changing physiological conditions. Without recognizing and respecting nutrient synergy, attempts to affix health through isolated supplementation can inadvertently lead to new imbalances and health issues. In the legs, this often manifests as worsening circulation, muscle weakness, joint discomfort, and loss of mobility, all factors that diminish quality of life and independence after 50. Embracing the principle of nutrient synergy allows us to move beyond simplistic solutions and engage in a more profound, sustainable form of health optimization that honors the intricate wisdom of the body's interconnected systems. Many of the most serious health challenges related to aging do not announce themselves with sudden alarms or dramatic symptoms. Instead, they creep in quietly, accumulating damage over years or even decades before manifesting as noticeable dysfunction or pain. This is especially true when it comes to the effects of certain healthy vitamins and supplements on the legs after the age of 50. The concept of silent, cumulative damage is critical to understanding why well-intentioned supplementation can sometimes backfire, so slowly undermining the integrity of muscles, bones, blood vessels, and nerves, and ultimately compromising mobility and quality of life. At the heart of silent, cumulative damage is the idea that many processes of deterioration are gradual and hidden. Unlike an acute injury that causes immediate pain or dysfunction, this damage occurs at a cellular and molecular level over time. For example, excess fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, or K can accumulate in the liver, fat tissues, and vascular walls because the body cannot easily eliminate them. This slow buildup interferes with normal physiological functions long before symptoms are noticeable. Over years, this accumulation can trigger low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, and tissue calcification that quietly erode vascular flexibility, muscle elasticity, and bone density, particularly in the legs, which bear the weight and stress of daily movement. The vascular system is especially vulnerable to this gradual damage. Calcium deposits, for instance, may accumulate silently in the walls of arteries, reducing their ability to dilate and constrict with each heartbeat. This stiffening increases blood pressure and diminishes blood flow, especially in peripheral regions like the legs. Yet these changes do not cause immediate pain or functional loss. Instead, the individual may experience vague symptoms such as leg fatigue, cramps, or mild numbness that are often dismissed as normal aging or muscle strain. By the time more severe symptoms arise, such as intermittent claudication or chronic leg pain, the underlying damage has often progressed substantially. Similarly, bones and joints undergo silent remodeling and microdamage with age. Excessive intake of certain vitamins like vitamin A can stimulate bone breakdown at a microscopic level while suppressing the formation of new bone. This gradual imbalance weakens the structural integrity of the skeleton. Unlike a fracture, these changes are painless in their early stages, making it easy to overlook until a significant injury occurs. In the legs, where the skeleton supports all body weight, this progressive weakening can increase the risk of stress fractures, osteoarthritis, and chronic discomfort, quietly eroding independence and mobility. Muscle tissue is not exempt from silent, cumulative damage. Nutrient imbalances and impaired circulation can lead to subtle changes in muscle fiber composition, mitochondrial function, and repair mechanisms. These changes reduce muscle strength, endurance, and coordination. Unlike sudden muscle strains or tears, this decline is gradual and often attributed to aging or lack of exercise, delaying interventions that could restore function. The legs, relying on large muscle groups for walking, balance, and stability, are particularly susceptible to this slow decline. The nervous system also suffers from the cumulative effects of nutrient imbalances and vascular insufficiency. Peripheral nerves require consistent oxygen and nutrient supply to maintain their myelin sheaths and repair any micro injuries. Reduced circulation, compounded by mineral imbalances or vitamin toxicity, gradually impairs nerve conduction and sensory feedback. Early symptoms like mild tingling or numbness are subtle and frequently ignored. Over time, this leads to impaired proprioception and increased risk of falls and injury, severely affecting leg function and confidence in movement. Silent cumulative damage is further exacerbated by lifestyle factors common after 50, such as decreased physical activity, poorer diet, and chronic inflammation. These factors amplify the negative effects of nutrient imbalances, creating a vicious cycle where the body's natural repair processes cannot keep pace with ongoing damage. This slow erosion of health often escapes detection in routine medical exams because standard tests may not reveal early functional declines or subtle biochemical disruptions. Recognizing the existence of silent cumulative damage demands a shift in how we approach health and supplementation. Instead of seeking quick fixes or relying solely on symptom-driven interventions, there is a need for proactive, preventive strategies that emphasize balance, moderation, and continuous monitoring. This includes careful selection of supplements that respect the body's intricate nutrient interactions, regular assessments of vascular and musculoskeletal health, and lifestyle adjustments that support circulation, muscle strength, and bone density. Understanding silent cumulative damage also calls for patience and a long-term perspective. The effects of supplementation or lifestyle changes may not be immediately visible, but their impact accumulates over time. Small imbalances that seem insignificant in the short term can snowball into significant dysfunction if ignored. Conversely, addressing these imbalances early can preserve leg health, maintain mobility, and enhance quality of life well into later decades. In essence, silent cumulative damage teaches us that health is a marathon, not a sprint. The legs are often the first to reflect the success or failure of our long-term strategies because they bear the brunt of gravity, movement, and circulation challenges. Honoring the subtle signals, respecting nutrient balance, and committing to sustained, informed care can prevent this quiet erosion and ensure that strength, vitality, and independence are preserved beyond 50 and far beyond. The truth is, our bodies are not machines to be pushed with unlimited inputs. They are living systems that thrive on balance, precision, and respect. Silent, cumulative damage may work quietly beneath the surface, but it is not unstoppable. By choosing awareness over ignorance, moderation over excess, and harmony over haste, we reclaim control over our health and our legs' vitality. Let this be a call to honor the wisdom within, to listen deeply to the subtle signals our bodies send, and to commit to nurturing them with intention and care. Because true strength after 50 isn't about how much you add, it's about how thoughtfully you maintain and protect what you already have. Your legs carry you through life's journey. Safeguard them with the respect they deserve, and they will carry you farther than you ever imagined.